Hello guys, so yeah, I was going through some old videos on my Facebook, and I found a couple of clips of me visiting the very first gym I ever went to, actually. So these clips are from 2018, so about 4 years old, and it's Estuary Gym in Southend on Sea. It was the very first gym I ever trained at. I started training there about 2005, and I trained there for about 3 or 4 years up until around 2009. And then I went to another gym afterwards called Evolution, and neither of these gyms exist anymore. Estuary closed down, I believe 2017-16, could have been before that, and Evolution in Leigh no longer exists either. But I'd gone back to Estuary around 4 years ago just to have a look around and see how it changed. And like I say, it's the very first gym I ever trained at, and it had been built around the 60s and had been owned by a guy called Roy Perrott, who was actually a former bodybuilder. And it is such an old gym, it's literally a dinosaur of a gym. The weights are so old, they're in pounds, not kilos, and the bars are very thin. They're like standard bars, not proper 2-inch thick Olympic barbells like we have now. And he's got a lot of machines in there and stuff that you can't get them. He's got a lot of obsolete equipment in there that just doesn't exist now and all that. So it was actually quite interesting to see this footage that I'd actually filmed 4 years ago. So yeah, I'm going to let the footage roll, and you can just have a quick sneak peek at the very first gym I ever trained at. Like I say, unfortunately it doesn't exist anymore, but it was nice to go back through the archives and just have a sneak peek and go back in time 17 years ago to where it all started for me. Hello there, and this is Estuary Gym in Southend. This was the very first gym that I ever trained at. This is where it all started for me. Started training here in about 2005, so I was about 24 then. I first started training in about 2001 when I was 19, but that was a small little gym that I had at home. This was the first proper gym that I ever came to. Very old fashioned, been here since at least the 60s, owned by a gentleman by the name of Roy Perrott. He'd be about 80 now, former bodybuilding champion actually. And yeah, this gym's at least 50 years old, maybe more. It's so old in fact that all the weights are in pounds, as you can see. This weight plate here is not 20 kilos, it's 50 pounds, which is 22.5 kilos. And all the bars are standard, 1 inch thick. As you can see, this bar is a lot slimmer, and got some very old-fashioned equipment. Some things that you don't see in gyms at all nowadays, really. There's the weight stand there, as you can see. See that red one? That's 20 pounds, not 20 kilos or 10 kilos. 20 pounds. That's about 9 kilos. That's 25 pounds. These weights are all in pounds. And as you can see, this bar is a lot slimmer. It's a standard bar. Most gyms have Olympic bars now. This chair here, you'd put the bar here and the weights. This is what I used to do, seated press behind the neck. I'd sit in this chair and do presses behind the neck. And these two benches is where I do bench press. Got the lat machine pulled down over there. The old squat rack over here, a leg press machine, more 50 pound plates. Yeah, so hasn't really changed much. I trained here up until about 2009, and then I went to Evolution in Leigh, and I trained there up until about 2017 before going to Stackhouse, which is where I train currently. And here's where all the dumbbells are kept. Incline bench and preacher curl bench. And this is for doing bicep curls. Something I used to do a lot at the time, but don't really do anymore now that I do strongman. But this is where I used to do my powerlifting when I first started lifting seriously in about late 2005. So yeah, over 12 years since I first started training.